Sal gets some much-needed support in Home and Away in half an hour. But first, we've all the very latest 5 News.
Tonight, a wake-up call after the floods, a warning that Britain must be ready for the next deluge. A major report says the threat of flooding is as real as that of a terror attack or flu pandemic, and the nation must be prepared. Also tonight, Buongiorno Fabio, England's new boss, faces the cameras for the first time.
I'm very proud and honoured to be the England manager.
A court hears how Diana told a friend she needed marriage like a rash on her face. And
I'm at Santa School learning with the pros.
Ho, ho, ho! Hello, I'm John Suchet. You think it won't happen to you, but it may, and you should be prepared. That was the message to homeowners today as a major report was published into the summer floods. It warned that action must be taken now to prevent a repeat disaster, saying that both the public and the government must wake up to the threat. 5's Peter Lane is in Hull, and Peter, for many there, the nightmare goes on.
Yeah, hi John. Well, how's this for a Christmassy scene? Plenty of families here still living in caravans because their house repairs haven't been finished yet. Now, these residents hope today's report will make a real difference to reduce the risks of this happening again. The summer floods of 2007 claimed lives, damaged tens of thousands of properties and cost billions. Now the government's been told the lessons it must learn from them. In Hull, next-door neighbours Joanne and Karen are still living in caravans after a flood not from the river but from rain-swamped drains.
The drains weren't taking any water away whatsoever. You know, people were pumping their own properties out. I hope it's taught them a lesson, and I hope people are listening, because people cannot have this happen to them again.
Now, nothing can prepare families for the long-term impact of floods like this. You can see how much work still needs to be done here, and that's 6 months on. But today's report does talk about short-term measures, like having a flood kit in the house, something you can just grab and run with. So all insurance documents and relevant paperwork, a first aid kit, a battery-powered radio, mobile phone, torch and blankets, things like that to help you in those first couple of hours. On the bigger picture, it says the Environment Agency must urgently identify areas at risk of flooding from surface water, and that new houses built on flood plains must be flood resilient. It calls on water companies and local authorities to invest in and monitor drainage systems to ensure they can cope, and it recommends the government creates stockpiles of emergency supplies like boats, sandbags and food.
I think we should put this on a par with things like terrorism risk or influenza pandemic, where we already have national frameworks in place for dealing with those sorts of emergencies.
Well, apparently I could be back in my house by April.
The self-help strands of the report include making sure you've got insurance and that you monitor Environment Agency warnings, even if, like Karen, you live miles away from any rivers.
It doesn't feel as though it's mine. In fact, I don't know if I want to, when it's finished, stay here. You know, and I've lived here nearly 30 years.
The government says it agrees with every aspect of today's report and is increasing flood spending. What the summer deluge taught us is that many more areas face potential risk than anyone realised. So the verdict: we need better research, better planning, better preparation, but the report doesn't point a finger of blame, and it reminds us with an underscoring that what happened in the summer was certainly a freak weather event.
Thank you, Peter. In the past hour, the government has owned up to another loss of personal data. The details of 3 million learner drivers have gone missing. They were being processed by a contractor in America. Our political editor, Andy Bell, is in Westminster. Andy, just very slightly embarrassing.
Yes, John, another embarrassing loss of data for the government on these 3 million learner drivers. However, Ruth Kelly, the Transport Secretary, is basically saying, look, it could have been worse. Yes, some sensitive information has been lost, but it does not include sensitive banking details. This is what Ruth Kelly had to say about all this in the last half hour.
The hard disk drive did not contain details of any individual's bank account or credit card. It did not contain their driving licence number. nor their national insurance number. It did not contain their date of birth, nor a copy of their signature. And it did not contain the result of their test.
Now, we've also had an interim report on the loss of that child benefit data. Remember the details on 25 million people around the country. The good news is that there is no evidence apparently of any fraudulent activity connected to that loss of the discs. The bad news is they've got no idea still where those discs might be.
Thanks, Andy. Fabio Capello has for the first time braved the might of the British press pack. The New England football manager said he was proud and honoured to have the job, although that's about all he could manage in English. However, Capello did tell our sports reporter Alex Thomas that he is expecting to have mastered the language very soon.
We are delighted to welcome Fabio Capello as the new England manager.
And what a welcome it was from the massed ranks of English and Italian media. There were plenty of questions, not least about the language barrier, and I tried to give him a helping hand.
Fabio, come trasmetterai ciò che lei vuol dire ai giocatori se lei non parla inglese?
Io sono convinto che
I'm convinced that by the time the national squad meets for the first time in 1 month, I'll be able to speak English.
Capello is one Italian who's cooked up an impressive footballing menu down the years. He was a good enough midfielder to play 32 matches for Italy. He even scored against England at Wembley in 1973. As a coach, he won the Champions League, 7 Italian titles and 2 Spanish titles in 15 seasons. And his first news conference has whetted the appetite.
Ma credo soprattutto che l'orgoglio di portare questa maglia.
I believe, above all, the pride of wearing the shirt gives an esteem. It makes the players want to give more, because I want to see the national players play with pride.
Among the standard fare were 2 tasty morsels. First, Fabio himself wanted an Englishman in his coaching setup. Secondly, no English coach is qualified enough for the top job itself.
For us, we saw the next appointment as having to be somebody of world-class status. A man with a strong personality, a vastly experienced coach, a person used to handling big players, big matches, and big in-match situations.
Capello has all those qualities and an England shirt, a gift from Italian TV at the weekend. His brief spell as a pundit is over and his new job starts on January the 7th. Alex Thomas, 5 News.
Well, he'll have a happy Christmas, but it had seemed to be heading for a miserable one on the high street, with stores reporting sales down and customers tightening their belts. But if you happen to have braved the shops this weekend, you'll have noticed that business was at last booming. Here's 5's Victoria Gatenby.
After a bad December on the high street, it seems the early sales have finally got the tills ringing. Stores, though, have had to slash their prices ahead of Christmas to get us spending. So why, for most of December, have we had our hands firmly in our pockets?
Well, one reason is people are being a lot more cautious this year about how they spend their money compared to previous years, especially after a year of interest rate rises. Also, people are worried about a possible recession and they don't want to start the new year in debt. So have we all been stripped bare of festive feeling?
Well, not quite. There are other reasons why high street stores have been struggling.
I did it all online.
Why did you do it online?
It's so much easier and you don't have to face the crowds.
Have interest rate worries or things like that affected how much you're spending and why you're leaving it so late? You might want to cash in on the sales?
No, not really. Just lazy, basically.
Last Monday, the number of shoppers was down 0.9% compared to the same day last year. By Thursday, it was even worse, with shoppers down 5.9%. So the stores slashed their prices at the weekend, and by Sunday, the number of shoppers had jumped by 8.9%.
The sales are on now. What's that going to mean for the January sales?
Well, it's a very good question, because the shops talk about the golden triangle at Christmas, New Year sales and Valentine's, and it looks like one of the points of that triangle is already being eroded for January sales, because we're having them already. So I think that the only thing that the shops can do in January now is to have further reductions.
So with that in mind, it might be worth writing a few IOUs this Christmas and waiting for the real sales in January. Victoria Gatenby, 5 News.
2 million Muslims have arrived in Mecca for the annual Hajj pilgrimage. It's the centerpiece of the Islamic year. Every Muslim is supposed to make the Hajj at least once in their lifetime. Visitors spend a week living in a huge tented city outside Mecca. Now, if you're searching for a new look for your home this coming spring, look no further. The hotel that was the last word in grandeur and opulence is flogging its interior. Everyone from Churchill to Bob Dylan has stayed at the Savoy over the years. 5's Rose Gretton has been delving into the history going under the hammer.
To everyone's delight, Princess Margaret went to the Dockland Settlement Society ball at the Savoy Hotel.
For over a century, the world's most glamorous and wealthy figures have glided through its revolving doors. But with a brand new facelift on the horizon, it's time for the public to get their hands on a hoard of iconic furnishings. Well, welcome to the Monet Suite, the top room in the hotel. It's where the great artist himself, Claude Monet, painted the view out onto the Thames there, you can see, while we know that many stars like Charlie Chaplin and John Wayne also stayed in this very room. Now, everything you can see here is for sale. And I tell you what, shopping is a tiring business. So on that note, I think I'll be off to the bar. Over the years, hundreds of celebrities and political heavyweights have drank and mingled in this bar, many of their faces hanging on the walls around us. But perhaps more importantly, we believe that the world's first ever dry martini was mixed in this very bar. Cheers, thank you very much. For the next 3 days, the Savoy will auction off around 3,000 items. The prices range from just £20 to in excess of £15,000 for these chandeliers. Let's just hope your house and wallet are big enough.
This is the piano that allegedly a certain Frank Sinatra played upon. Yours for £2,000 to £3,000. It is a Steinweg, by the way, but if your pocket doesn't run to that sort of money, how about 10 silver-plated candelabra like that? An estimate price £50 to £80.
I'd say that's the bargain of the day.
I'm tempted.
So with Christmas approaching, now's your chance to buy someone the ultimate gift, a slice of showbiz history.
Goodbye. Thanks for staying at the Savoy.
Rose Gretton, 5 News.
Coming up next on 5 News, was marriage on her mind? Like heck it was, says Diana's high society friend. Plus... behind the beards of Santa School, have you got what it takes? This is 5 News, welcome back. A jury has heard that Princess Diana confided to a close friend she needed marriage like she needed a rash on her face. Lady Annabel Goldsmith told an inquest that she'd never forget those words, as they were the last thing the princess ever said to her. 5 Simon Viger was in court. Simon, more testimony today from those who really knew Diana best.
Yes, John, we've been hearing a lot in the last few days about whether it was just a summer fling or whether it was more than that, and Diana's friends firmly say it was a summer fling with Dodi. Diana spent a lot of time with the Goldsmith family, a very difficult time in her life when she was really looking for a surrogate family. As her marriage disintegrated, Diana needed friends to lean on and was embraced by the Goldsmith family, here visiting Pakistan with Lady Annabel and her daughter Jemima in 1996. Jemima's then husband, Imran Khan, was opening a cancer hospital. Lady Annabel Goldsmith had known Diana since childhood and says she became a sort of mother figure, although she laughed the princess hardly ever took her advice. Lady Annabel today told the inquest she frequently spoke with Diana, who came to stay after her first holiday with the Al Fayads in July 1997. Dodi was not mentioned, and Lady Annabel said she firmly believed it was impossible for Diana to have been pregnant. During a later cruise, as the world was learning of the Diana and Dodi romance, the princess phoned Lady Annabel, who asked if Diana was going to do anything silly. She said, "Annabel, I need marriage like a rash on my face." It was very much a Diana expression. Lady Annabel says Diana was on the rebound from this man, Hasnat Khan. Diana, she told the jury, loved the surgeon and was very sad that their largely private relationship had broken up. It's emerged today her visit to Pakistan the previous year had not just been about opening a hospital. Diana had also met the parents of Hasnat Khan. Well, also this week we'll hear from more of Diana's close friends, also one of the journalists, Richard Kay, who she was closest to. But we have to wait until the new year until we hear from Paul Burrell, from Hasnat Khan, and indeed, crucially, the bodyguards, including Trevor Rees-Jones.
Simon. The media watchdog Ofcom is investigating complaints from X Factor viewers that they weren't able to vote on Saturday's final. 80 viewers have complained that they couldn't get through to vote for Ridian Roberts, who ended up losing out to this young man, Leon Jackson. The programme's producers say so many people rang that not all calls could be accepted. Well, after his win, Leon may now be at the forefront of the race to be Christmas #1. But a 5 News viewer is making her own bid. Lauren Omador has been training a troop of 400 children to sing a song promoting world peace. She tells her story for today's Your News.
The song you can hear in the background is called I Wish You Peace, Every Race and Creed and Colour. I wrote it and got together with some of my friends of different religions and cultures here in High Wycombe. Last year, High Wycombe was known for terrorism and wars and not very good things. So we wanted to create a new image. And so for Christmas, we got together to do this song. And I'm singing it, and I'm Irish and Jewish. Jules Siddiqui, my friend, is Muslim and Catholic, and we're all different cultures and religions. I wish you peace, every race and creed and colour. Thank you. And we'd like to wish you all a wonderful Christmas, Hanukkah and Eid from all of us here in High Wycombe to the UK and the world.
Great sound. And if you've got a story you want to tell us about, why not send us your own video? There are full instructions on our website. And staying in the Christmas spirit, you might want to cover the children's ears right now. There are fake Santas out there. You'll have seen them in shopping centres up and down the country. However, don't be fooled. They're all imposters. Where are they coming from? We sent 5's Matt Barbette to infiltrate Santa School.
When they said Santa School, I was thinking a trip to Lapland with a spot of skiing. Oh no, it was at the magical Travel Lodge in Covent Garden. This was hardcore Christmas, and I immediately felt out of my depth. Even though my beard was itchy and half of it was in my mouth, I had no choice but to knuckle down.
Scientists calculate that Santa's sleigh must carry 400,000 tons of gifts, with the average non-turbocharged reindeer capable of pulling only 150 kilograms.
I don't understand what he's saying.
Can you remember that? I'm turning the page.
Donner and Blitzen, Cupid and Prancer, Dasher and Dancer, Comet and Dixons, and Rudolph. I think I got one wrong.
Santa Matt, first timer. Have to say, looking knockout. Turn around and face the class. Perfect size belly. The beard's pretty good. Hair's pretty good. Your eyebrows are actually quite bushy, so I'm afraid I've got to put a little bit in there. I won't put on too much. Give us a lovely rich ho ho ho. 1, 2, 3.
Ho ho ho.
Well done. Congratulations. That was very good.
I was on my way to getting my own sleigh, but first some tips from the masters.
Believe in yourself. Believe that you are Santa Claus, and you make a magical contact between yourself and the child.
You can't let the children see you without the beard.
Well, it's important that they actually see your mask.
Is this a real beard? Can I give it a tug?
Yes. Come January the 2nd, I usually cut it right down to about ½ inch.
Right.
And then I just let it to free range.
The veteran's beard advice worked. I passed.
Matt Claus, you have graduated from the Ministry of Fun Santa School 2007. Matt
Barbette, 5 News.
I think young Matt's a natural. In a moment, Joe's here with the weather. First, a reminder of tonight's main news. Britain wasn't ready to deal with the summer floods, according to a major report. It calls for a national emergency plan to be put in place to prevent a repeat disaster. In the past hour, the government has admitted that the details of 3 million British learner drivers have gone missing at a processing centre in America. And Italian Fabio Capello has been introduced as the new England football manager, and he has promised to take England back to the top. And that's the news. I'll be back with more in an hour. Do join me then. Until then, from me and the team. Bye-bye.
Fit Insurance, getting you through the weather.
When the temperatures are as low as they are, it makes a big difference when you can't see the sunshine. And certainly the best of the brightness today has been over northwestern parts of Scotland, over Ireland too. Elsewhere, we've had rather leaden grey skies, low temperatures and brisk winds, so significant wind chill factor. Through this evening and overnight then, where we've got clearest skies, temperatures fall fastest and indeed lowest. We won't see a repeat of last night's -10. I think -1 is all we can expect over much of England and Wales, perhaps slightly lower than that over parts of Scotland. But certainly as we start off on Tuesday, it looks like being a better day in terms of more in the way of brightness, perhaps more in the way of sunshine. But still, the seaward drift is in towards the northeast here, and that's going to give more in the way of clouds. So rather dull up there towards the northeast, somewhat brighter elsewhere, variable amounts of cloud. Temperatures topping out around 6 degrees Celsius. That's best in the west, or should I say mildest in the west. Over much of England and Wales, still 3 or 4 degrees, but with slightly lighter winds, that shouldn't feel too bad at all.
Servicing and MOT from QuickFit. Getting you through the weather.
You can get daily weather forecasts for your area sent directly to your mobile by signing up for Fives Weather Service. To sign up, text the word weather, followed by a space, and the first part of your postcode to 82100.